It started with what seemed like an ordinary marriage, full of hope and the promise of a growing family. A husband and wife, eagerly preparing to welcome their first child, were living a life that seemed picture perfect. But behind closed doors, secrets were festering, secrets that would shatter everything. The husband, hiding a side of himself he thought no one would ever uncover, was entangled in a forbidden affair with a senior officer. What he didn't know was that this hidden relationship would lead to devastating consequences for the woman he vowed to protect and love. As the truth began to unravel, it set off a chain of events no one could have predicted: betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately, tragedy. How did love, secrecy, and lies collide in such a devastating way? And what led to a murder that changed lives forever? Stay tuned as we uncover this chilling tale. As the months went by, the wife noticed subtle changes in her husband. He was distant, preoccupied, and often stayed late at work with vague explanations. At first, she brushed it off, thinking it was the stress of preparing for the baby. But the uneasy feeling in her heart grew stronger with every passing day. What she didn't know was that her husband was caught in a dangerous web of deception. The senior officer, a man with influence and secrets of his own, had drawn the husband into a hidden world he couldn't escape. This wasn't just an affair, it was a secret that threatened to destroy everything if exposed. Meanwhile, the wife's health started to take an unexpected turn. Routine checkups during her pregnancy began to reveal troubling signs, and the doctor's words left her with questions she couldn't yet answer. Little did she know, the answers would change her life forever. The wife couldn't shake the strange feelings, both physical and emotional, that seemed to cloud her days. Her energy dwindled, and unexplained fevers left her feeling weaker as her pregnancy progressed. The doctors ran more tests, and their concerned expressions made her anxiety grow. When the results came back, they delivered shocking news. She had tested positive for HIV. Confused and devastated, she struggled to understand how this could have happened. She had been faithful to her husband, the man she trusted more than anyone else. Her husband's reaction was immediate, but not one of support. Instead, he seemed overcome with fear, stumbling over excuses and shifting blame. His panic only deepened her suspicions, and cracks in their relationship began to widen. The senior officer, now a shadowy figure hovering in the background of their lives, had secrets of his own to protect. As the truth lingered just out of reach, the wife began to uncover clues that led her closer to the betrayal lying at the heart of their marriage. The wife couldn't ignore the inconsistencies anymore. Late-night phone calls, hushed conversations, and her husband's growing unease painted a picture she wasn't ready to face. Determined to find answers, she began piecing together fragments of his behavior. A slip of paper with an unfamiliar name, a series of unexplained absences. Every detail began to point toward a hidden truth. One evening, when her husband's phone buzzed with a message he was too slow to hide, she finally saw a glimpse of the life he had been concealing. The words were cryptic but undeniable, filled with affection that wasn't meant for her. Her heart sank as the pieces clicked into place. Confronting him only made things worse. He lashed out defensively, his fear now as visible as hers. But it wasn't just her husband's betrayal that haunted her. It was the realization that her health and her unborn child's future had been jeopardized. As she dug deeper, a trail led her to the senior officer, a man whose involvement went far beyond the affair. The secrets they shared were darker than she ever imagined, and the closer she got to the truth, the more dangerous her world became. Just as the wife thought she was beginning to understand the depth of her husband's betrayal, an unexpected revelation turned everything on its head. While following up on the name she had found, she uncovered something even more unsettling. The senior officer wasn't just another man in her husband's life. He held power over him, both professionally and personally. Their relationship wasn't just built on secrecy, but on manipulation and control, with consequences that extended far beyond her marriage. As she began to dig into the officer's background, she discovered whispers of corruption and scandal that had been carefully buried. It seemed her husband had been drawn into a dangerous game with someone who wasn't afraid to protect his secrets at any cost. The more she uncovered, the more she realized how deeply entwined their lives had become with this man's shadowy world. And then, late one night, she received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end delivered a chilling warning. Stop asking questions. It wasn't just her health or her marriage on the line anymore. Her very safety, and that of her unborn child, was now at risk. The wife knew she couldn't ignore the threat. But instead of backing down, she pushed harder, determined to expose the truth. Gathering evidence of her husband's affair and the senior officer's influence, she sought help from a trusted friend, a lawyer who promised to guide her through this dark labyrinth. She was ready to confront her husband one final time, to demand answers and accountability. When she confronted him, the weight of the secrets came crashing down. He admitted to everything: the affair, the manipulation, and how he'd been coerced into silence. The senior officer had threatened his career and reputation, leaving him trapped in a web of fear. But as her husband begged for forgiveness, another horrifying revelation surfaced. The officer had been the one who knowingly exposed him to the virus, pulling him deeper into his control. In a desperate move to break free, the husband revealed he had been gathering evidence against the officer, planning to go to the authorities. But before they could act, the senior officer arrived unannounced at their home, his calm demeanor masking the threat beneath. A heated confrontation erupted, leading to a struggle. In the chaos, an act of self-defense turned deadly, leaving the officer lifeless on the floor. As sirens wailed in the distance, the wife stood trembling, her world shattered, but her determination intact. The truth had cost more than she ever imagined, but it was finally out. Yet, just as she thought the nightmare was over, the lawyer revealed something chilling. The officer had been part of a larger network, and others might come looking for answers. The story was far from over. In the weeks that followed, the wife faced the daunting aftermath of that fateful night. While the police investigation cleared her husband of wrongdoing, it was clear their lives would never be the same. The truth had cost them dearly: her trust, his integrity, and the future they once envisioned. But amidst the pain, a new sense of clarity emerged. The wife chose to prioritize her health and the well-being of her unborn child, leaning on her support system to rebuild her life. Her husband, burdened by guilt, vowed to make amends, starting with seeking therapy and working toward regaining her trust. They knew healing would take time, but they were determined to confront the challenges together. As she prepared for the arrival of her baby, the wife reflected on the strength she never knew she had. Though their story had been one of betrayal and heartbreak, it was also a reminder of resilience and the power of truth.